一休さんはお寺で修行をしながら町のいろんな問題をとんちで解決していました。おーい、一休さん。はい、何でしょう。一休さんが行ってみると、おじいさんが困っていました。これを見てくれ。橋を渡りたいのに、渡るべからずとは困ったな。見ると、この橋、渡るべからずと横にある立て札に書いてあります。なるほど、それなら、と一休さん、スタスタと橋を渡りました。Hey guys, welcome to Monochrome Japanese, a peaceful space where you can focus on your Japanese study. I'm your host, Shiho. We've finally reached the last pitch accent pattern. Thank you all for following along. Has anyone heard the story of Ikkyū the monk crossing the bridge? Even if it's not as widely known in Japan today as it once was, most Japanese people have probably heard of it. Outside Japan, it might depend on the person. But don't worry if you haven't heard of it or don't understand it yet. By the end of today's video, you will. Perhaps you've already guessed. This story is actually related to the pitch accent pattern of the word hashi, which happens to be today's topic. In the fundamentals video, we've already defined the pattern D pitch accent. I'll put a link below and recommend watching it first. By now, you should already know what pattern D means. In textbooks or dictionaries, the pitch accent number next to a pattern D word always equals the mora count of the word, because its last high pitch falls on the last mora. If you're not familiar with the concept of mora, the fundamentals video will also help. Like other pitch accent patterns, the pattern D also has an official name in Japanese: Odakagata. This name is also quite straightforward, and this pattern looks like this. In many ways, pattern D is the most unique pitch accent pattern of the four. For example, when pronounced alone, it sounds exactly like pattern A, only differing in the pitch of following particles. In the fundamentals video, we explained this in detail using the words hana and hana. So if you have watched it already, you should know which one is the word for flower and which one is for nose. Another point that makes pattern D unique is that in Japanese, verbs and adjectives do not have pattern D pitch accent. Also, there are not many pattern D na-adjectives. So in this video, we're going to mostly focus on nouns. Today, we won't examine pattern D nouns by mora count or category. Instead, we'll focus on words that are really commonly used. Because if you ignore their pitch accents, you'd always assume they are pattern A nouns. There may be a lot more commonly used pattern D nouns than you think, and they could be potentially categorized in many ways by meaning. I've tried to categorize common words for easier reference and memorization. Since it's pattern D pitch accent, I'll read all the nouns today with a common particle to make them sound different from pattern A. First, words related to the human body, like 髪が、頭が、耳が、舌が、顎が、 骨が、胸が、腹が、腕が、肘が、指が、足が。If you can complete these, including all the upcoming examples, into phrases or sentences, and practice them, it's going to be more effective. Of course, you can also use other particles. Let's continue. Next, words indicating months. 1月に、2月に、4月に、6月に、7月に、8月に、10月に、11月に、12月に。And words indicating quantities. 2つが、3つが、4つが、6つが、8つが、1日を、2人で、1度だ。Next, words related to people. みんなで、相手に、親が、娘が、弟が、妹が、男だ、女だ。And words related to animals. 餌を、熊が、馬が、犬が、川が、尻尾を、オスだ、メスだ。There are also derived words from must form of verbs. Commonly used ones include 悩みが、流れを、試しに、頼みが、恐れが、恨みを、残りは、疲れを、痛みが、動きが、帰りは、休みを。Did you notice any commonality in pitch of their original verbs? Feel free to share your observations in the comments below. Besides the above, there are also these very commonly used pattern D nouns, which I strongly recommend getting familiar with. Notice that I deliberately put them in a certain order that's seemingly easier for you to remember. It may not be the best order, but I hope it helps. 次に、年を、夏に、冬に、雪が、夢を、ために、ことが、ものが、街を、店に、肉が、袋を、熱が、咳が、家に、部屋が、ところに、山が、川が、歌を、音が、光が、色が、力を、心に、話を、言葉に、明日は、返事を。Again, try to complete these examples into phrases or sentences and familiarize yourself with them, as is super helpful to improving your listening and speaking skills. However, in standard Japanese, there are some typical pitch accent changes that are closely related to pattern D nouns. Let's look at a few of them that are worth noticing right away. First, although rare, some words are originally pattern A, but become pattern D in certain forms. For example, when preceded by modifiers, a typical example is this word, 人. When unmodified, meaning humankind or other people in general, it is a pattern A noun. As in, 人に言えない苦しみがあるそうです。However, when there's a modifier specifying what kind of person, it becomes pattern D, as in, いつか優しい人に出会えたらいいな。Also, こちら、そちら、あちら are originally pattern A, but in their casual forms like this, they become pattern D, as in, こっちが、そっちは、あっちに。For example, こっちがやるから心配するな。俺は行くんだけど、そっちはどうする？あっちに行っといてくれ。Another one has been mentioned in the pattern C video already, which is when a pattern D noun is used as an adverb in a sentence. It becomes pattern A. Notice that directly using nouns as adverbs is an interesting and important feature of Japanese. Nouns that are commonly used as adverbs are usually those that indicate time, frequency, quantity, and so on. Like the many examples we gave earlier, such as words for months or for quantities, as in 人生には3つ坂があるそうです。Does anyone happen to know which Japanese TV series this famous line comes from? If you do, you can share in the comments which 3 slopes, or saka, are referred to in this quote. Another example would be, ピッチが一度下がったら二度と上がらない。By now, you should know what it means if you've been following these pitch accent series. Alright, that's all for pattern D nouns. Next, a quick look at pattern D na-adjectives. I say quick because there are not many, but pretty much all of them are very, very common and easily mispronounced. 好き、好きな人、好きになった。嫌、嫌なこと、嫌になってしまう。上手、上手な人、上手に話せる。下手、下手な人、下手に手を出しちゃった。楽、楽な気持ち、楽になる。ダメ、もうダメだよな。ダメになってしまった。Okay, let's review pattern D words overall. We mainly need to focus on nouns. In situations where the fact that pitch difference changes meaning is introduced or discussed, these classic examples are often cited. The one I mentioned in the pattern B video, ame and ame, hashi and hashi, kaki and kaki, sake and sake. However, did you notice that there is one very unique word here? Among these 4 pairs contrasting high-low and low-high pitch changes, only the word hashi with the low-high pitch change is a pattern D noun. The rest are pattern A. But is there a word also pronounced hashi that has a pattern A pitch accent? Of course. Otherwise, in the story at the beginning of today's video, Ikkyū the monk couldn't have boldly crossed that bridge. If this is your first time hearing this story, and you don't quite understand it, let me explain. So, while Ikkyū was practicing austerities at the temple, he also helped people in the town solve problems with his wit. Hey, Ikkyū! Hey, what's up? Ikkyū walked over and saw an old man looking worried. Look at this. I want to cross this bridge, but it says, don't cross this bridge. What should I do? A sign beside the bridge says, このはし、わたるべからず. I see. If so. Before finishing, Ikkyū briskly crossed the bridge. Perhaps you're still puzzled, but let's hear how Ikkyū himself explained. 真ん中を渡りましょう。橋を渡らなければよいのです。Which means, let's cross through the middle. As long as you don't cross along that edge, you're fine. Did you get it? The sign says, この橋、渡るべからず. There's no kanji and no particle. So Ikkyū interpreted as 橋, which means edge or side. Without the particle, the pattern A noun 橋 and pattern D noun 橋 sound exactly the same. So he took it as don't cross along this edge instead of don't cross this bridge, and confidently crossed that bridge through the middle. Isn't Japanese pitch accent interesting? Alright, now let's take a short quiz to review today's content. As usual, I'll read 3 sentences on the screen and you identify which one I mispronounced. I'll leave some extra time before I show the answer, so that you can pause or replay as needed. Ready? First up, nouns. 調査を通して得られた結果をもとに改善策を考えたい。あの香ばしい匂いを嗅いだ途端、腹が減ってきた。彼は目が肥えているので、良いものをすぐ見分けられる。Correct. もの is a pattern D noun. So the following お is low. Not 良いものをすぐ見分けられる。But 良いものをすぐ見分けられる。Did you catch the difference? Since we only have nouns and na-adjectives today, let's look at 3 more nouns. 金銭の貸し借りは人間関係を壊すことがある。風邪をひいて高い熱が出たので病院で薬をもらってきた。みんなが楽しそうにしているのを見て少し心が沈んだ。Yes, みんな as a noun is pattern D, so it's みんなが not みんなが。みんなが楽しそうにしているのを見て少し心が沈んだ。And finally, na-adjectives. 冬の夜は星がきれいに見えるので、外に出て眺めるのが好きだ。坊主にすると手入れが楽だと言われたけど、なかなか勇気が出ないな。日本語が上手になったね。なんか日本人と話しているみたい。Right. 好き is pattern D, so it's 好きだ rather than 好きだ。Did you catch all of my mistakes? Okay, that's all for today. And I hope it's helpful. Oh yes, we do have one more thing. Earlier, I mentioned that verbs don't have pattern D pitch accent, but some of you might have noticed that some textbooks would mark a secondary pitch accent with a number that's equal to the more account of a verb, that is pattern D pitch accent. For example, the word あげる, which is reported to be marked 3 in some textbook. Ultimately, you can't say it's wrong, although it's originally a pattern A verb. But when it's followed by certain particles, it can sound like pattern D. For example, から、あげるから or 行くから、言うから。Also, けど、あげるけど or 行くけど、言うけど。However, this overall pitch is not considered to be determined by the verb itself, but by the pitch accent or characteristics of these particles. So in most references, you're most likely not going to see verbs marked with numbers equal to their more accounts. I'll make a separate series in the future on the pitch accents of common particles attaching to verbs. If you enjoy this channel, I hope you supported it in various ways. It's obviously crucial to me. Finally, we've completed this series of pitch accent patterns. Next, I plan to continue with the topic of Japanese pitch accent in near future. But besides full-length videos, I'm also going to upload some short videos covering common questions, mysteries, or misunderstandings of standard Japanese pitch accent. Last but not least, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please subscribe and share my contents with anyone you know that's studying or just interested in Japanese. Thank you very, very much for watching, and see you next time.